Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We're going to get started. There's a lot of energy in the room. Must be Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Okay, colleagues, we're going to get started. If you wish to be part of the session, it'd be great.
The excitement was transferred.
It's total excitement from whatever's been happening. That's always a good thing. All right, so welcome everybody to our Tuesday, October 29th, 2019 session. As always, we will start our session with an invocation, this time by Archbishop Andre Van Keur from Catholic Apostolic Church of Unity. Please rise as you're able.
Thank you, Madam President. Dear brothers and sisters, join me in universal prayer. Heavenly Father, the Almighty, the only supreme being, you who have revealed your glory to all the nations, we of this great organization Interfaith, we present ourselves this morning before your divine majesty to thank you first of all for the breath of life, allowing us this awakening on a daily basis, and to humbly ask forgiveness for all our bad acts committed against our neighbors. Please fill our hearts with love, pity, and tolerance for our fellows, through your benevolent look, so that we can work toward them. According to your will, grant this assembly of Interfaith here, together, intelligence, concord, sincere and mutual friendship, to all groups that seek your understanding and your judgment. And finally, to all leaders elected and appointed, the wisdom, the strength, and finally the true peace of your love and humility of your loved ones. Give us the understanding of your virtues. Show us how to serve and obey you. La paix avec tout le monde. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Merci. Okay, so we will now start with our proclamations. First, proclamation recognizing National Women Small Business Month by myself. So I'd like to invite Marla Belonik, Nora Barrera, Keisha Houghton, as well as Marcus Larson and Angela Buitrago-Neira. Come forward. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much. All right, so this is a super awesome proclamation. This is in recognition of women-owned businesses, which is truly a lifeline and an engine in our community and also nationally. And so with us, we have Marla Belonik from the Latino Economic Development Center, and she is the executive director. I think is the board president here as well, Daryl? No, okay. So she's done extraordinary work in leading this organization and having extraordinary impact in the Washington Metro region. We also have the Media Network TMN Corp, which is represented by founder and CEO Nora Barrera. It's right here. We have the Maryland Women's Business Center, represented by Managing Director Keisha Houghton. And we have from Life Asset, we have founder and executive director Marcus Larson, as well as Senior Loan Officer Angela Buitrago-Neira. And so for me, this is truly an honor. Obviously, as the only woman currently on the council, this really hits close to home. And even though I didn't launch a small business, I did launch in a nonprofit organization, which you have to manage exactly as a small business. And I did that at the same time that my husband was launching his company. So it was really interesting to compare notes and to really struggle through the same barriers as you are growing a small business. So it hits close to home, understanding the incredible work that each of these amazing women and men who support them are doing to not only grow their own companies, but also to provide the technical assistance and the access to capital for so many others who want to also start their small business. Let me say that, according to the 2019 American Express State of Women-Owned Business Report, women now account for an estimated 42% of all businesses owners in the United States. Half of these women are women of color, which shows just how much opportunity exists when communities are given the proper tools to succeed economically. Also, between 2002 and 2012, the number of non-women of color that owned businesses grew just by 9%, while the number of women of color-owned businesses grew overall by 315%, according to the Small Business Administration. According to a study by Stanford University, Latinas make up 44% of all Latino-owned firms. Black females make up 59% of all Black-owned firms, and non-Latina white women make up 37% of all white-owned firms. So it is really incredible, because what these numbers tell us is something that we have also known for a very, very long time. And even yesterday, as I had the honor of visiting with Chef Jose Andres at Universities of Shady Grove, he spoke about how, as he travels the world and he, does all this extraordinary humanitarian work and empowers so many different communities around the globe to become self-sufficient, that women play a pivotal role in really boosting and pushing forward all of these efforts. And so we here in Montgomery County right now, I've always, I've said time and time again that we are in this year, it's a year of transition. And so it's really a good opportunity to take a look and be able to assess where we are and how we support our small businesses. And so we are engaged, I think, in a lot of really exciting initiatives, as well as putting forth certain frameworks to help us boost this extraordinary sector of our community. At the end of the day, if we don't expand our tax base, we won't have the necessary resources to address all of the issues that face us. So these people behind me are an example of how we can continue to nurture and grow this particular sector, and how exciting it is that women are leading in this way. So what I'd like to do is ask each of you to say some very brief remarks, and then we have proclamations that have been tailored for everybody and personalized, and we'll also present those and take a photo. So let me start with Marla.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy. And I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to thank Montgomery County and the County Council for their partnership and leadership in recognizing Women's Small Business Week. LADC has worked for almost 30 years in the region, supporting Latino, minority, immigrant, and women-owned businesses. And it's just amazing to have this recognition for the work that we do day in and day out. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you very much, Nancy, and the County Council for this celebration. And, I feel very honored to be here after 21 years in business. And when I started the business, not a lot of Latinas were really into business. Now to see, the growth and what's going on in terms of the change and also the economic development that, women bring to the table. Not only to support their families, but to the economy in general. It's very pleased to hear those numbers, and, willing to help in any way I can to continue, on the development. Thank you.
And I think we can do this together, Max. So just start you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and all of you. We have been here now for 5 years, and we focus on particularly very low-income entrepreneurs. And we are very grateful to be here. Currently, we're supporting over 200 entrepreneurs. And what's amazing is that even if they are very low income and banks don't lend to them, we have higher repayment rate than banks. So it's pretty amazing.
And I just want to add thanks to Nancy Navarro. She was the first that believed in our program, and that's why we're still growing here in Montgomery County. Thank you very much to you and to all the council members.
Thank you, Councilmember Navarro and the council members. The Maryland Women's Business Center is going to be celebrating 10 years of existence next year. So we have been around supporting women entrepreneurs for a number of years, and we have seen the growth, the tremendous growth. Women are starting businesses at twice the rate of men, but we still are experiencing access to capital issues and other challenges that are impeding their success. So one of the reasons why we're here is to help get rid of those obstacles and really provide that, support system that is necessary for women to be successful. One of the things that we decided to do was to start celebrating and highlighting women through our awards luncheon. So that's something we want to continue to do, and we want to look for different opportunities to really highlight you as women entrepreneurs that are out there, so that we can be successful. So thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you all so much. And lastly, I will say that, as I mentioned earlier, each and every one of them represents an extraordinary contribution to our county. Nora Barrera really was a trailblazer when it came to, Latino women owning businesses in the county, and also mentoring so many other women and providing a lot of, I think, also the beginnings of the Hispanic Chamber as well. And I think, Life Asset, through this amazing work, is giving truly access to small entrepreneurs who just need that microloan in order to get going. And in a county like ours, where we know that we have such a strong entrepreneurial spirit, they have made an amazing difference, and we were really fortunate to be able to provide, that funding for you guys to come into Montgomery County, and I hope it continues to grow. I think what Keisha was saying was so important, because another thing that they do is also help women that want to become, childcare providers and establish their own small businesses. It's so tied to our early care and education initiative that is amazing. And Latino Economic Development Corporation has their tentacles everywhere, but I am so grateful to the work that you've done in Wheaton. It's been really important. That was not, well, it's still not easy to make sure, because what we want to do is make sure these businesses, small businesses that are already in Wheaton and have been there for a while, remain. And so they've been partners in helping us do that. So it's just a snapshot of what we're trying to do. But make sure that if you know anybody who wants, to start a small business, have them also check out our regional services centers, up county and the East County, pretty soon Mid County. We are working in partnership with the administration to provide business support and information, refer whatever you want in those regional services centers, and just spread the word, because we want everybody to have that opportunity. So now we're going to hand out the proclamations. I'm not going to read them because they're all customized, but they basically say thank you, and then we'll take a photo. And if my colleagues want to come down so that we can, it's kind of weird when we stand and you see those little bitty heads all the way in the back. So in this case, I think we can do this. Great. Next, we have another awesome proclamation recognizing the NAACP AXO 2019 National Participants and Winners by Councilmember Rice.
President, and I'll invite Councilmember Jawando, who I know has been a big supporter of the AXO program, and then all of my award winners, as well as their entourage, to come on down. Come on down, guys. As they come down, it really reminds me of the conversation we just had about our Black and Brown Forum of educational equity and excellence, because it really is one that highlights how we continue across this county to showcase the excellence that our kids have when it comes to their ability to excel in so many different areas. Come on around, guys. Come on around. And so I want to start off by saying, because a lot of people don't know what ACSO is. ACSO was created in 1978. And the reason why ACSO was created, it's the African American Cultural, Technological, Scientific Olympics. Why does it roll off my tongue? Because 29 years ago, I participated in this. Yes, I'm dating myself, and that's okay. I've come to grips with my 30-year anniversary for graduating from high school next year. It's crazy. But I still remember it like it was yesterday. I still do. I still remember at the local level competing at the ACSO level and finding out that I won a gold medal. And I also remember when we were in California and they had started to say from silver, and before they got to spring, my mother was already halfway up the aisle before I had even gone anywhere. And for those of you who know my mother, they know that's a perfect description. But it was amazing. And I truly have to say that ACSO was created because we saw that there were continued inequities when it came to access for folks in being able to showcase their talents and being able to understand that from a culturally sensitive perspective, that there were other ways in which people could express themselves and see that as talent. Spoken word is something that we have now embraced as a culture generally, but it's something that back then was seen as not poetry. It was seen as not something that was accepted. Wasn't that long ago. And so again, this gave an opportunity for a lot of young people to shine and to showcase their talents and to make sure that people also understood in the community how great and how awesome all of our kids are. You don't have to come from privilege. You can always excel and succeed if you're supported and given the opportunity. And that's what's represented behind me. It is interesting that we have children from all over the county. It's not just the W clusters, no offense. These kids are coming from everywhere and doing great things. So, ACSO has about 32 competitions in humanities, business, performing, and visual and culinary arts. It's led by a great leader, and I think Pat started right after Pat, when did you start? Yeah, so Pat's been leading our NAACP ACSO, so let's give her a round of applause for what she's done. Because it's really important to continue to have this program highlighted and for these young people to be supported. So I'm going to turn over to Councilmember Joanna to say a few words, and then I want to introduce each of our ACSO winners. So Councilmember Joanna.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice, and it's just really exciting to be up here with all of our amazing winners. I had the great opportunity to send them off right while they were doing their final preparations to go off and win as they did, and I've also seen them perform. I don't know, I don't want to single out anybody, but this little guy here is like a great singer. And all of them are great. They're all winners, but it's just amazing, whether it's poetry, gymnastics, dancing, science, you name it. As Councilmember Rice said, our students are amazing, and ACSO really has provided, and I also was a participant a few years after Mr. Rice, even though he looks so very young. But it really provides opportunity for students to showcase their talents in a way that's understanding, with teachers and support staff and parents who are supportive of them. And so I'm really glad that we're honoring everybody here today. And we're going to have to bring some of you back to perform. I was just thinking that, so we're going to have to work on that. But we have Black History Month coming up. They also do a great poetry competition that ACSO sponsors that many of us go to every year. So I just want to thank Pat and all the teachers and parents that have supported you. And let's just give them all one round of applause real quick. Thank you.
And Councilmember Joando, thank you so much for highlighting that, because it is really important to understand that our administrators and our teachers who are supporting our kids, ensuring that they have this ability, are really great. And so some of them are here with us as well, and we'll let them introduce themselves as I go through. But first and foremost, Mwanza Makuka. Mwanza? So Mwanza was a gold medalist at Thomas Wooten in drawing. I told her, and if you look at this absolutely gorgeous drawing, done by pencil. Yes, done by pencil. I want to buy it right now. Trust me, I'm an auctioneer. I promise you I could sell this for a lot of money. You and I are going to go into business. Mwanza not only won a gold medal locally, but also won a national gold medal. Give her a round of applause, folks. Well done. Frederica Diebke? Oh, she's not here. Okay, so Frederica actually won a national bronze medal in poetry from Northwest High School, and currently she's at University of Albany, so we have to give her a little bit of an excuse for not being here today. Gabrielle Kramer, our local gold medalist in ballet, came from Northwood High School. She's currently at University of Maryland College Park. Go Terps. So unfortunately, she couldn't be here. But we do have Kyle Dalrymple, who's a local gold medalist, instrumental classical music, and original essay from Richard Montgomery High School. Kyle? Stay up here. So now this next young lady is doing a number of things as well. Not only is she a local gold medalist in oratory from Northwest High School, but she's also a finalist, one of 10 for our council member for a day, and that's Ajo Ivanla. Congratulations. And then we have Lancy Keir, a local gold medalist in poetry from Paint Branch, and she's not here. Okay, she couldn't be here. And then we have Patrick Kerwin, a local gold medalist in playwriting from Albert Einstein High School. He's at Ohio University, so you see they're going off and doing great things. Ronnie Ward, our local gold medalist in short story from Walter Johnson High School. Congratulations. Then we have Consuelo Watts, local gold medalist in vocal contemporary from Northwood High School. And then Kelvin Dukes from James Hubert Blake High School. So again, what I want to do is turn this over to Pat. And Pat, just say a few words about how great these kids are. We've heard it before, but come on over. Pat Price, guys.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. A special thanks, obviously, to County Councilmember Craig Rice, who is also, as he indicated, an AXO alum. He's the example that we often provide to our students. Thank you, Councilmember Will Jawando, for also being here and for presenting our students at our AXO competition and giving them a great send-off before the competition started, and also an AXO alum, which we will now note. We didn't have that information. I would like all the parents that are here to please stand up, even if you're in the audience. And some of our parents are here. Our students would not be able to do what they do without your support. So we really want to thank and honor you. And please stand up, Natasha. She's representing her parent who could not be here. She is Mwanza's sister. So we thank you all for your support. And I cannot go without saying thank you to Melissa McKenna, she's here. Oh, she's right there. She is a big supporter of the AXO program. And our student, Mwanza Makoko, was the benefactor of her generosity. So we always are in need of funds to help our students. This is an all-volunteer program. Our students are amazing. It is such a joy and honor and a privilege to work with them and to escort them on this journey. The talents and the wisdom that they bring to the program each year is just a privilege and just a joy to see students who are passionate about whatever it is that they do and they bring that to our local competition and to our enrichment seminars. We generally have 2 per month. They are also free and open to all. I just want to say a huge thanks to the students who are here and the students who are unable to be here today. I'd also like the principals to raise their hands who have supported our students, and a very special thanks to an AXO liaison, Lily Greenlee. If you would just step forward so people can see you. It is a challenge to have students compete at such a high level. Northwest High School, which she has shepherded those students, has had a national medalist 3 years in a row. And that's amazing. It's very difficult to medal at that level, but to have 3 years in a row from the same school is even more amazing. It says something about Ms. Greenlee and the leadership at Northwest. That is not to disparage any of the other schools who have not had medalists 3 years in a row. But that's just to say the dedication that Ms. Greenlee brings to the students. She fights to get these students that are so talented and so full of energy each year, and AXO is the beneficiary of that, and also just being recognized at a national level from students across the country. It is a joy and a privilege. I also want to thank my co-chair, Laura Dennis, who I'm monitoring to come to the mic to just say a few words. She has been an extraordinary co-worker and colleague, and we would not have been as successful as we were without her leadership, guidance, and really hard work.
Thank you so much, Pat. And I just can't tell you how proud we are of all the students here. These students are multi-talented, even though they may have won in a single category. These students are scientists, they're musicians, they're actors and performers, and they're a pure example of the talent that we have in this county. And we really are appreciative of the ability to honor them and recognize their talents today. And I think they represent a lot of other students that will follow in their footsteps in the future. So thank you.
All right. So Councilmember Joando, do you want to help me read this proclamation? I'll start off. Whereas AXO is a youth initiative of the NAACP that promotes academic and artistic excellence through competitions which showcase the talents of our African American students in categories including STEM, business, humanities, performing arts, visual arts, and culinary arts. And whereas
the 41st Annual National Afro-Academic Cultural, Technological, and Scientific Olympics, AXO, competition was held in Detroit, Michigan this year, where students could compete in over 32 different competitions, and our Montgomery County student delegation embraced the challenge and were victorious in competing against more than 700 students nationwide. And whereas 2 AXO students placed in the 2019 national competition, Mwansa Makuka from Wooten received a gold medal for drawing, and Frederica Degbe from Northwest earned a bronze medal for written poetry. And
whereas additionally 9 local medalists also competed, including Gabrielle Kramer from Northwood High School, Kyle Dalrymple from Richard Montgomery High School, Ajo Ivanla from Northwest High School, Lancey Kier from Paint Branch High School, Patrick Kerwin, Albert Einstein High School, Ronnie Ward, Walter Johnson High School, Consuelo Watts, Northwood High School, and Kelvin Dukes, James Hubert Blake High School. Now therefore be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby recognizes these talented young men and women and celebrate their artistic and academic achievements in the AXO 2019 national and local competitions presented this 29th day of October in the year 2019, signed by us and our County Council President. Congratulations, Pat. Come on over and get this proclamation. Come on. All right, so we also have certificates for each of the individuals. Wanda, I'm actually serious. We're going to negotiate after this about buying that photo. I would love to see that photo on my wall in my house. All right, sure. Come on up. Yep, no, he's going to do that. You get him in there. All right.
All right, so continuing on with an education theme, we now have a proclamation honoring Nancy Leopold from College Tracks by Councilmember Alberto.
Buenos dias. Let the record show again, I'm wearing my Nats red. Brought luck last Tuesday. Hopefully it will bring luck again tonight. And would Team Leopold please come up? So earlier this year, we received the bittersweet news that Nancy Leopold was going to be stepping down as the CEO of College Tracks. Nancy has established a remarkable career and left such an important legacy here in Montgomery County. In 2003, she, along with two of her colleagues who were then parents at BCC High School of students there, saw the gap, the wide gap that existed between some of the students' ability to be able to access college and other students within the school, and decided to do something about it. And so she, along with this incredible group of women, founded College Tracks. And as you'll see from the proclamation, the organization has grown significantly since 2003 and has served thousands of youth across our county. We're going to watch a short video now and then hear from Nancy herself, and then we'll read the proclamation and take a big group picture. Let's turn to the video.
Nancy Leopold firmly believes that every Montgomery County student who graduates and wants to go to college should have that opportunity.
Yes, and yes, and yes. Who all had children at Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, and they all had friends who were having trouble getting to college, only because they had no adults to help them who knew how to do it. So we thought, oh, we can probably solve that. So we started totally volunteer, meeting with them after school, and then we became an independent nonprofit. We've raised over $5 million.
Nancy Leopold has overseen the growth of this nonprofit from a small group of volunteers that served 40 to 60 students per year at one school to a program that now serves close to 2,000 students per year at 5 different high schools.
So, tell me about your news.
Well, I got accepted into a couple of schools.
College Tracks has supported those students getting into and finishing at more than 200 colleges. She has proven that students from all income levels, backgrounds, and communities can get into and through college if they have the right support.
When you just have that black cloud over you, it's really hard to see the possibilities of the future. And I feel like with College Tracks, all of a sudden, like, woo, the opportunity's there again. No, this is where we're meant to be. So it's like, shake it off, get a cup of coffee, squirt some water in your face, and let's just get to work.
In 2015, College Tracks was recognized as Nonprofit of the Year by the Montgomery County Department of Economic Development.
This mission has attracted dedicated people.
Nancy Leopold serves on the board of Nonprofit Montgomery and graduated from Leadership Montgomery in 2012. Through her work, Nancy has proven when county residents see inequities in the community, they can take charge and make change. Nancy has helped thousands of students take charge of their future to become the workforce and imminent leaders of Montgomery County.
We believe in you and your success. And that is the reason why people have invested in this program.
Her time with College Tracks is a model for all of us, showing it is possible to make Montgomery County a better community if we join together and make it happen.
All of these adults who care, they care enough to be there. They care enough to work with you to figure out how we're going to get you on your path to prosperity. It's a huge thing.
What a beautiful tribute. That was a really well done video. And anybody who's been to a College Tracks graduation knows what a momentous and emotional and important time that is for these students. So without further ado, let's hear from the woman herself, Ms. Nancy Leopold.
Thank you, Councilmember Abernaz. And I want to thank the council members, all of them. The support of the council over the years has been generous and consistent, and they got in very early in our tenure, over 10 years ago, and we've been able to leverage the dollars that they've given us enormously to get support from the community, from foundations, from individuals, from corporations. And we also have cherished the wisdom of the council members, which has been incredibly helpful as we navigate through the years. I want to say that it takes an enormous village to get this done, and some of them are here. It's extraordinary staff members and board members and volunteers. And finally, I just want to say that the students who we help are extraordinary, extraordinary people, and it is our privilege to help them get to the futures that they deserve and the futures that we need for them. Thanks.
That's my wife. All right. That's awesome. I love that. All right, we're going to read this proclamation, and then we're going to take a big group picture because we're all part of Team Leopold. All right, proclamation. Whereas in 2003, Nancy Leopold co-founded College Tracks to address the inequities faced by first-generation, low-income minority and immigrant students in Montgomery County. Her vision has provided supportive and financial resources to these students, particularly on how to best navigate the college admissions process. And whereas, under Nancy's leadership as the executive director for College Tracks, she has overseen the organization's tremendous growth from a volunteer program serving 40 to 60 students to an independent nonprofit with a $2.8 million budget that serves more than 1,800 students annually. And whereas, with the hardworking and dedicated College Tracks staff, board members, volunteers, and other community members, as well as strong public-private partnerships with Mcps and local government, College Tracks students are 2 to 3 times more likely to graduate from high school than their peers, and 99% of College Tracks seniors are admitted to at least one institution of higher learning. And whereas Nancy's unwavering commitment to equity and fairness has helped more than 5,000 students build brighter futures and become an integral part of our workforce, changing lives and investing in our students as future leaders across our country, state, and nation. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby honors Nancy Leopold for her vision, devotion, and exceptional leadership to our students in Montgomery County. Presented on this 29th day of October in the year 2019, signed by myself and our Council President, Nancy Navarro. Let's give her one more round of applause. And why don't my colleagues come down for this one, because we're all part of Nancy Leopold, so we don't have the floating heads, and then we'll get tight for a group picture.
It's been a great morning. All right, on to general business. Let's see, do we have any announcements, Madam Clerk?
Yes, there was, the council received one petition. It was from residents of Delabrook Street opposing the opening of an assisted living facility in their neighborhood. There's one item that will be deferred. It's agenda item number 4 on the WSSE spending control limits. We will reschedule for next Tuesday. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lauer. Okay, so the minutes of October 11th as well as October 15th have been distributed. Are there any changes? Hearing none, those are approved. Now I need a motion to approve the consent calendar. Moved by Councilmember Katz and second by Councilmember Friedson. I'll start with just some remarks regarding item A, which is an introduction of a resolution to support the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments regional housing targets for Montgomery County. I'd like to thank all my colleagues for co-sponsoring this particular resolution. Just want to note that this particular resolution really is as a result of a lot of work that has gone into place starting in 2018 when there were a number of folks, including Planning Advisory Chairs Andrew Trueblood, who is the Director of Planning for Washington, D.C., Wen Wright, our own Director of Planning for Montgomery County, as well as part of the Housing Advisory Chairs, which included Helen McVeigh, who was the Director of Housing for Alexandria, Virginia, as well as Polly Donaldson, Director of Housing for Washington, D.C. And they met throughout the year in 2018 to examine very closely not just the forecast for housing, but also job growth and many other indicators in order to assess whether the particular housing targets that were in place were sufficient. And they concluded that actually we needed to address a larger gap, and we needed to also pay very close attention to issues of affordability as well as where these new housing units should be located. So a lot of work went into that, and then Council of Governments decided to put together a housing work group, a housing strategy work group that was comprised of members of the Council of Governments, members of the Board of Directors, and that included from Prince George's County, Councilmember Derek Davis. He was the chair of the strategy group. From the District of Columbia, Councilmember Anita Bonds. From the District of Columbia, the Senior Advisor Beverly Perry. She's Senior Advisor to the Mayor Bowser. Fairfax County Supervisor John Faust. City of Alexandria Mayor Justin Wilson. And myself representing Montgomery County. And so we met throughout this year in order to listen, examine, study the proposal that was, the options that were placed in front of us. And then after all of those meetings, we actually had a retreat with the rest of the members of the board of the Council of Governments to truly have a conversation regarding the region. And I got to tell you, it's not an easy thing to have the leadership, the elected leadership from throughout the region, because we all know that the Washington metropolitan region is just not urban centers, but it also includes rural areas, suburban area exurbs as well. But everybody was really focused on how can we recommit ourselves to a thriving region that addresses challenges like housing, like transportation, like education, as well as things like healthcare, just quality of life issues, because everybody understands that at the end of the day, unless we address all of these policy areas, it's going to be difficult to maintain the high quality of life and remain competitive. And so even though different elected officials have different interests, different mandates, different characteristics of their jurisdictions, lo and behold, we were able to come together during that retreat and agree. And there was a lot of back and forth, but we were able to achieve that particular consensus. And so what the Council of Governments eventually adopted, and it was a vote by the members of the Board of Directors on September 11th, was that We needed at least 320,000 units. This is regional, between 2020 and 2030. But that specifically 75% of those units should be affordable to mid-income and low-income individuals or families, and that 75% of that new housing should be in activity centers. Now, for Montgomery County, because at the end of the day, this is the regional target, and then each jurisdiction has to look at what portion of that, corresponds to each area. So for us, the share of the target would be 41,000 units between 2020 and 2030. And so we also know that we have some incorporated areas of the county, like Tacoma Park, like Gaithersburg, like Rockville, who will also take a look at their share, and they have agreed to be part of this resolution today as well. Now, for us, what does this mean? Well, we've already adopted so many policies that, in my opinion, has put us ahead in the sense that things like, for example, activity centers very much tied to where we have our transportation assets. So transit-oriented development is something that we have been looking at. We have been so busy looking at how we can promote affordability. The Fed committee led by Councilmember Reamer has looked at, particular ways and creative ways, and we just took that unanimous vote regarding our accessory dwelling units. And so we have been busy also putting together a strategy that works for Montgomery County. This particular resolution today, what it does is it just sends a signal that Montgomery County is a willing player, and it is ready to do our share, to also have a central and play a central role in the region and the region's desire to continue to be economically stable and able to compete on the national level. And so it's not as if we have not been doing this. We're literally just saying we want to be in the sandbox and we want to be partners with leadership in our region. So that's what we're doing today. And as you recall, we also had a really awesome panel on October 15th where we had Wen Wright, our county planning director. We have Asin Nigam from the Department of Housing and Community Affairs, the director. We also had Bob Buchanan, and we have Maya Brennan, Senior Policy Associates, and Leah Hendy from Urban Institute. And I specifically invited those folks to be part of the panel so that we could understand not only the issues that DHCA is looking at, but also what the private sector is talking about, what think tanks are talking about, and what our planning folks are talking about in terms of how we can move forward. So I really appreciate all my colleagues. I specifically want to point out, again, the leadership of Councilmember Hans Reamer for the innovative approach. It was interesting because during the retreat, we also heard from different folks, like, for example, Minneapolis, to see what they're doing. And these are things that we have already had some conversations about. So, again, I think we're on the right track. So that's what's before us today. And, again, I just truly appreciate my colleagues' support and the loud, resounding statement that this council is going to make by adopting this resolution and affirming our commitment to working towards those targets. What are the next steps? Well, we have the Fed committee that's going to be super busy taking a look at what we're doing currently. So that is pretty much, hey, how far along are we? But then also, what are those barriers that we may have to address in order to get us there as well? So thank you again. And lastly, just reminding ourselves that, we will also be entertaining a resolution to adopt an economic development platform on November 5th. This particular action is squarely in one of those pillars, which is the housing piece. Because again, unless we look at things like housing, unless we look at workforce development, transportation, business retention, business expansion and attraction, we're not going to be able to hit those particular goals when it also comes to economic development, which will help us get the revenue that we need in order to address all of the issues and pay for all those services that our county residents, so much desire. So this is one very important step forward in that way. And with that, let me turn it over to the chair of the Fed committee, Hans Reamer.
Thank you, Council President Navarro. I really appreciate your bringing this before us today and empowering the council to take a stand on housing issues. It is so important. Over the last couple of years, the region has come together to address some major public policy issues that are regional in nature. A great example, of course, the best example is our success with Metro funding. The jurisdictions of the region came together. We got a lot of momentum behind transportation issues, and we ended up with a long-term funding solution that has once again gotten Metro back on track to provide world-class service. The jurisdictions worked together on the Amazon solicitations, and that is going to be a regional win for this region. It is absolutely appropriate that building on that momentum, the Council of Governments put housing squarely on the agenda. And I want to thank you again and Councilmember Hucker and your service at COG, but especially Councilmember Navarro for ensuring that the County Council, in your role as Council President, would take this up and give this the attention it deserves, to bring the urgency to the issue, and to issue the call to action that we really must embrace. We have an affordability problem in this county. This county is in a very expensive place to live. And I think we all know that housing is our largest expense. Any family, any resident of this county, housing is typically the largest expense, whether it's a mortgage or a rent payment. It is a substantial source of economic strain for most of our families. We have affordability challenges at every level of income. We have challenges with millennials who want to move here, to work here, to live here. It's very difficult to find an affordable place to live. We have challenges for retirees who want to stay here or move to be close to their families. I think as a parent, I am constantly asking myself, or regularly asking myself, I should say, will my kids be able to afford to live here? That is a challenge that I think many of us are grappling with as the price of housing continues its upward march. So we need to do more, and the report highlights how Montgomery County needs to produce thousands more housing units every year in order to meet the goals that we have. There are some notable aspects of this agenda. This report does not say that the only type of housing that we should create is housing for people at the very lowest level of income. This report says we need housing at every level of income, but there should be a special focus on low and middle income families. That is really important because it's very difficult to produce housing. The market does not produce housing at the lowest income. It must be subsidized, and there's no way that the market itself is going to produce the kind of housing that we need to meet the need for low-income families on its own. So we need a market-based solution, and that is where housing for middle income and other income levels comes in. So the report helps clarify that our task is to produce housing at the middle and low-income level. Those two issues work together. It also puts economic development, as you said, squarely in the middle of this conversation where it belongs. I think anybody knows intuitively that when a company wants to hire here, if their workforce can't afford to live here, then they won't be able to tap the workforce that they need. So the constraint on housing supply is also a constraint on the supply of the workforce that our companies need to grow here. I was very concerned to learn that the county executive took the time to go down to the Council on Government and say no to this report, to bicker with the findings of this report. And another reason I really appreciate the County Council and the Council President bringing this issue forward. The County Executive has a long track record on housing issues where he has been an outlier, voting against plans like the Bethesda Master Plan, the Littonsville Master Plan, the Veers Mill Corridor Master Plan that this council passed, the Rock Spring Master Plan, the White Flint 2 Master Plan, opposing our accessory dwelling units proposal that we passed here at the council this year. So the people are looking to the council for leadership and for a strong, clear voice. And I look forward to taking this report up at commission and getting the benefit of the county executive's input into that, of course. But I think the council, by embracing this resolution, is saying very forcefully, we need to follow up, we need to make this happen. So at the Fed committee, we will review what will it take to meet the kind of housing production goals that this report outlines. And we may need to find ways to hear from our private sector and affordable housing providers to get that input about what are the barriers that they experience when they want to produce new housing. What are the finance options? We're going to be taking up the housing fund on Monday of next week. And there's definitely ways that we can strengthen our affordable housing investments. But the long and short of it is there's a lot that we need to do. Above all else, we need to embrace the urgency of this issue and respond to the call to action that is regional and carry our weight. And so I look forward to continuing to take these up and working closely with my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Reamer. Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you to the Council President for your leadership on this at COG and otherwise. I think a lot of how I feel has been said, but I just wanted to thank you for really pushing this to the forefront of the agenda. And I do think that it's important to talk about it as not just a social imperative, but an economic imperative. We desperately need to have a scenario where we have residents in Montgomery County who can get paid wages that can afford rents and that can get paid enough to be able to pay for mortgages to buy homes. And currently that is not the case. We have a housing stock that hasn't kept up. 55% of our housing stock was built before 1950. Only 14% of that housing stock was built since 2000. We have demand for housing that has far exceeded our supply of housing, and we have not given it the seriousness that it deserves. It's not a unique challenge to our county and the region. It's not a unique challenge to our region in the country as a major metropolitan area, but it is a crisis that we need to handle as such. And so I'm extremely proud of the fact that as a member of the Fed committee under Councilmember Reamer's leadership, we have tackled this issue, and it has been at the forefront of the Fed committee's agenda with this council's full support. The $5 million that I advocated for and this council approved to put into the budget to make sure that we weren't falling behind was an important step in that direction, but not enough. And so we have to keep our pedal to the metal when it comes to the way that we tackle and address this housing issue, because if we want to talk about Montgomery County being a welcoming place for residents, it cannot be a welcoming place for residents if people can't afford to live here. And I just think it's critically important as we talk about this. It gets lost. You can't discuss being a place that's welcoming to all when it's not a place that you can afford to stay here if you live here, because housing costs and cost of living is exceeding those folks who are living here, and that new residents can't come here to help grow the tax base so that we don't have to raise tax rates particularly on folks who can least afford it, our older aging adult residents. So I'm extremely proud of the fact that this council is taking a strong stand. We do have the land use authority here. We need to use that land use authority to tackle this issue. We need to use that budget authority that we have to tackle this issue, and we need to make sure that we treat it with the seriousness that it deserves and be competitive and collaborative in the region. And I think that we have to tackle it in both ways. One, we have to understand that we are in a competitive environment, but that we can't tackle these challenges in transportation, in housing, and in economic development unless we're working with our regional counterparts. But understanding that there are residents who are deciding where to live in the region, and there are businesses that are deciding where to open up in the region, and so we have to make sure that we are not operating under an assumption that we'll always be the place where every family wants to move and every business wants to locate, that people have choices, and we need to make that choice one that puts Montgomery County where it has always been, up near, if not at the top of every one of those conversations. So thank you for putting this to the forefront. Thank you for your leadership as Council President and as Fed Committee Chair, and honored to be a part of this conversation as a member of the Fed Committee, a member of this council that really does take this issue extremely seriously, and I really think has been leading this issue in the county and in the region.
Thank you. Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you very much, Madam President, and I'm again going to issue the same accolades. Thank you for your representative work on the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. It is incredibly important work. It's very hard to be the board of directors. I know in just my smaller role in dealing with one of our subcommittees that how much time it takes and the commitment that's there, and so I really thank you for that. You know, when it comes to the regionalistic approach that we've tried to address when it comes to tackling a number of the issues that befall this region, it is really one in which we've got to start approaching them from that standpoint. And that's what this does. Really talking about housing, understanding that it affects everyone. It's not just one locality nor one state. We are all connected. It's very interesting that in the very conversations about Amazon, before Amazon had decided where to land, we as a region said we would all win. And I want to remind people that we will. There are plenty of people who, because Montgomery County is the special place that it is, because it has such a great way of life, because we have such great amenities here, people will locate here. And they will ride mass transit and go to work at Amazon in Northern Virginia. It happens. When one of my very first professional jobs was working for Marriott Corporation, and I traveled on the MARC train from Germantown to D.C. every single day. And I lived in Montgomery County because Montgomery County was a special place to be. Those same kinds of things need to be there for everyone. And so whether you're low or lower middle or even solidly middle housing, we need to make sure that those opportunities are there for folks. We don't want to pigeonhole folks into thinking that only millennials only want to live in high-rise apartments. That's not true. If you have a conversation with many of them who are starting families, they are looking for the amenities that Montgomery County has to offer. We cannot forget that because these are the, when you look at what's happening with our tech, and thank you, Councilmember Reamer, for focusing on the tech talent pipeline. When we look at folks who are in tech, it really is one in which they are mobile as well. Folks can do their work from home. They don't have to go into the office, and we need to remember that as well. As a computer science major, I can tell you programming can be done from anywhere, from the bedroom of your house to a think tank office. That's the reason why offices aren't the same way they are any longer. These are the changes that we have to continuously adapt to and make sure that we're addressing those needs for our community. I'll just close by saying this, that it's a very promising time for us. When we see the environmental things that we've done, whether it's the regional approach to banning coal tar and dangerous sealants to support our environmental challenges that we're facing via climate change, or whether it's our ag preservation things that we're going on right now in our Chesapeake Bay Water Resource Policy Committee and CPC, it really is important for us to attack these on a regionalistic level. And so from that, I'm really happy with the work that's been done by the board. It's tremendous, and I look forward to supporting many other initiatives that I know are going to come out of COG as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Then also quickly, just wanted to highlight item 2C and really appreciate the sponsorship of colleagues Reamer, Glass, Alberto, Katz, and Hucker, and just remind us that, as we really celebrated the opening of the Wheaton Library Recreation Center as such an extraordinary amenity for that area of the county, as we have been also, focused on senior issues with the senior agenda that has been such a living document. One of the things that as a District 4 representative I have always looked at and worked towards has been how do we integrate many of the senior citizens, the seniors in the District 4 area who have a tendency of being more isolated because truly the only place that they could go to is the Holiday Park Senior Center, and many of them had issues with transportation, and so we worked on making sure that Holiday Park Senior Center was there ready to serve many of these seniors. Our Latino Civic Project had a particular program at the Holiday Senior Center, and we try to make it as vibrant as possible, but the reality is that there's so many more seniors that could participate in a lot of these programs. Now, it was interesting that when the Mid-County Mid-County Recreation Center began to offer many of the senior programs that before were offered in the former Wheaton Rec Center, Youth Center, it immediately became like the thing to do. And if you've never been there during like the day, you should go, because it's amazing to see so many incredible seniors taking advantage of all those services. But now that we opened the new Wheaton, combination project, everybody immediately started asking, well, what's going to happen with the senior programming? The promise was that once we opened, then they would, reinstate those. And that didn't happen. And so what you have in front of you is the opportunity to quickly, put all of this together in order to address this very important need, so that we don't miss a beat in providing those services to these seniors. So I would say that the silver lining is that, okay, when we close that and, transfer those to the Mid-County, many more seniors were able to have access over there. But now we have obviously created this demand, and they're asking for it. And so, again, really appreciate also the work that Robin Riley has done. And I know it's tough as you're opening up a center, trying to figure out what your needs are. But, again, I think that this is important when it comes to really addressing the isolation issues that many seniors face, which leads then to depression and leads to a lot of physical and health challenges as well. So that's what this whole entire request it's all about. And I know that Director of OMB, Medellino, called me last night. I know they're looking at where they may be able to find, the money, and I'm willing to work with them as well. But I also understand that we have urgency in terms of the timing, so we'll be monitoring that to see how we can get it done. Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for reminding me. I had it written down here, but I got caught up in the COG thing that I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. Recently, for this past budget, we fought for Clarksburg for additional programming, and I appreciate the support of the council in making that happen and reinstating that program that was so important for that community. And so I completely understand and agree with you wholeheartedly. I would really like us, and I hope that the county executive takes a more robust approach this year when it comes to senior programming throughout the county, because places like North Potomac and Damascus, just to name a few, can certainly benefit from that additional look at what more we can do. And so my hope is that we take a very holistic approach. I know that our former Director of Recreation will have something to say about this as well, but I certainly fully support us doing this, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you, Council President Navarro. I want to thank you for bringing this opportunity to us. Though the Wheaton Community Rec Center is an amazing facility, and again, congratulations on pushing for that as you did. It's amazing to see something actually existing in the real world after you work on it for so many years. We all had the chance to visit there the other evening, and I was just, I expected it to be, and yet it was nevertheless amazing to see the number of people coming and going, and this was well into the evening. It clearly is heavily used, and to be able to provide programming there for our seniors who indeed did not, senior services were not fully funded, recreation services were not fully funded this year in the budget. So this will help to restore what was lost and ensure that the Wheaton Community Facility is something that is available to everyone. So I want to thank you for that. I want to also just put a positive note on item B, which is the introduction of an appropriation by the Parks Department to acquire the parcel also in Wheaton, not far from the rec center, which is part of a remarkable vision to both add housing and build a really spectacular urban park in a part of the county where there is, it's heavily impacted, a lot of affordable housing, but not the urban park amenities that I think everyone would like to see in a neighborhood. So look forward to taking that up as we go forward.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. Councilmember Alberto.
Thank you, President Navarro. And working on you on that project when I was rec director was one of the highlights of my tenure as the director of the Recreation Department. I thought we made a good tag team on that one.
Yes, it is.
And it's been an unbelievable facility, exceeded expectation, is averaging 2,500 visits per day. And so the unique nature of the library combined with the recreation center provides the perfect backdrop for senior citizens in the county. And I'm so excited that we have put back the resources that, as the council president said, were originally envisioned for the project. It was actually designed in such a way to make it even more accessible for our aging population. And that's why the walking track was added in particular to ensure that it provides a wide variety of options and programs and services to residents. And I do want to acknowledge the incredible leadership of the Recreation Department, who continues to tirelessly provide tremendous wraparound services to our senior community. And the seniors that will participate in this program, for many of them through the nutrition program, that will be their primary meal of the day. And social isolation is a problem for all of our seniors, but it is particularly an issue in our cultural and multi-ethnic communities. And so that's why having an amenity like this isn't enough. You have to have the programs and services in the building with capable and competent staff to execute those services that will really make a difference. And this is a minimal investment when you consider the amount of public health that this will promote through our aging population. So I'm obviously thrilled to be a co-sponsor of this and agree that this is a model that we should be looking at across the entire county. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Council Vice President Katz.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I, too, am very proud to be a co-sponsor of this. And of course, Wheaton being your area, but it affects a senior, wherever we have senior programs, it affects all of our seniors, regardless of what district they're in. And we have certainly received, in my office, much correspondence about Holiday Park and other areas as well. We, too, are very concerned about the budgets for them, and we want to make certain that all of our seniors receive those necessary. It's recreation, but of course, as was mentioned, it's really daily nourishment in many cases that all of them so need and we desire for them to have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Glass.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to jump down to item number G, the Executive Regulation 2119, which came about because a constituent sent a tweet about predatory practices in the towing business. And when I saw the tweet about individuals whose cars were towed and they were required to pay cash and not being able to receive change for the amount that they paid, I shared that information with the Office of Consumer Protection and Eric Friedman, who is here, and I'm glad that that took notice and it got the attention it deserved, and now we're going to do right in that market so that if one is in the unfortunate predicament where that will happen, at least they'll have some more rights. And shout out to constituent Aaron Klein for bringing that to our attention and helping get this regulation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I don't see any other lights, so all those in favor of adopting the consent calendar, please raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Excellent. All right, so now we're on to item number 3, and this is action, confirmation of county executive's appointee as Director of Department of Transportation, Christopher Conklin. Is there a motion? Moved by Councilmember Hucker, second by Councilmember Rice. All right. Are there any?
The plan was followed.
Any comments? We try to follow the plan. Councilmember Hucker.
Mr. Conklin, come on up.
There's always.
You're always welcome here. I was so sad to miss your interrogation last week. I had to attend a family funeral, as you know, but I did bring several pages of questions today that were prepared.
Perfect. Let's get going. I thought I already talked too much, but we can talk more if you want to.
No, I just want to say how much I've enjoyed working with you. And, you know, transportation is one. We're working on a lot of issues. Transportation is one that affects like every person in the county every single day. And it's incredibly complicated to manage your very large agency that touches every life in the county. And while people are not always happy with the pace of construction of the bus rapid transit on 29 or the amount of money we have for neighborhood resurfacing, they're always happy with your performance. And I really enjoyed working with you, and I'm really looking forward to working with you in your new role, and as I know all my colleagues are as well.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, we did have a robust interrogation / discussion, and truly appreciated the conversation as well as your extraordinary background, your experience, and a lot of your recommendations. I think that it's something that's going to truly be of great assistance. So want to acknowledge and congratulate the county executive for putting forth your name for confirmation, and I guess we'll take a vote. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. So congratulations and welcome.
Great.
Welcome to this position now.
Thank you very much. I appreciated all the conversations we had individually and also the long conversation we had last week, and look forward to working with each of you. I think I probably failed at my first test, which is setting expectations appropriately. But anyway, look forward to working with you all.
It was great. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'll just get to work so we can figure out all of our transportation needs. All right. So now on to item number 5, and this because 4 is deferred. So we're going to go to item number 5, which is the council sitting as Board of Health. We're going to hear an update from Dr. Travis Gales, County Health Officer, and this is actually constitutes our annual meeting with Commission of Health as well. So those who are here for this item, please come forward. Do we have a presentation? Is that what we're waiting? We do? Okay. All right, Dr. Gales, while we're getting that started, do you want to make some initial remarks?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you all. This is one of my highlights of my year as well, to come and have conversation with you all. While we get the presentation together, I wanted to say a couple of things. One, in listening to the conversation that has already been had this morning, we agree from a health perspective that it's important to look at all of these different factors, whether you're talking about housing, transportation, job opportunities, food security. All of those things influence an individual's health outcome. And it's exciting to be able to work with you all because you all get that. Not everyone has that jurisdiction. We meet monthly with my colleagues from other jurisdictions in Maryland, as well as through the DC Regional COG. We meet with colleagues in DC and Northern Virginia. And I'm happy to say that I am able to work with a jurisdiction where I don't have to explain why all of those things are important. We can have substantive conversations about how to operationalize those things and put them into action, but we don't have to have the conversation to say why those things are important. So thank you for the opportunity to be here with you all today. I will move through this really quickly. And the other thing I want to also emphasize is part of that working relationship, we certainly appreciate your advocacy on issues that are relevant and germane to the public health spectrum. I think that our office has had an opportunity to work with certainly you all collectively, but I think with each of your offices individually on different issues over the last year, and want to emphasize that we are always open to those opportunities. So if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, let us know, whether it's providing data for projects, follow up with constituents, or discussing and exploring new opportunities to collaborate and partner. We welcome those conversations. So thank you for the past and look forward to those opportunities in the future. Just briefly, here's the framework for which we'll talk through today. And as your county health officer and also the chair of the State Immunization Committee, the next slide is of the most importance. Get your flu shot. If you haven't received your flu shot yet, please do so as soon as possible. And to those who are watching at home, get your flu shots as well. There's ample resources throughout the county, both public and private, to secure those. And if there are any questions or issues in receiving your flu vaccines, please let us know and we will work with you to address those concerns. Next slide. So in terms of an update of where we stand in terms of health, it's also important to couch that in the larger scheme of where we sit in health across the world and across the country. Since our last conversation in the spring, we have seen an impact, or have been reminded of the impact of infectious diseases, and particularly with the measles epidemic that spread across the country. And while we did not have any cases within Montgomery County's boundaries, we did have several cases services in the state of Maryland that did necessitate us to mobilize and set up an immunization clinic here within our community to help prevent any new cases from happening. And very happy to say that we did not have any of those cases to come. And we continue to promote vaccines within the community. It's also important to note that recently was released and reminded us from a conversation that we've had before is that sexually transmitted infections continue to be on the rise across the nation. This applies to gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis. And particularly within the syphilis diagnosis, we've seen an increase in congenital syphilis cases. Again, it's important to note that we fortunately, knock on wood, haven't seen any of those cases here within Montgomery County, but we continue to remain vigilant for that. We also know that there has been increased burden or evidence to suggest that there is a significant burden of substance use that has manifested within the county in our continued work in the opioid overdose space, as well as within the new space and concerns of substance use with our young folks, particularly related to e-cigarette use and vaping use within our adolescent and young adult population. And thank you to the council for your actions in terms of putting forward legislation to curb and address that within this young population and hopefully prevent long-term effects of early initiation to nicotine, and certainly also prevent any other vaping-related illnesses that are associated with the respiratory distress that has been noted across the country and has actually been seen in a case here within Montgomery County. Public health departments across the country also struggle with this concept of how we look at the impact of exposure to stress, trauma, and violence, and not just for young people, but also in any individual who's exposed that, and trying to quantify how those variables influence an individual's health outcome. And this is something that we are working in this jurisdiction as well, particularly given a significant number of individuals who we welcome into our community, but have experienced trauma and exposed to significant levels of violence in their home countries, because it's important for us to understand what resources they need in order to cope with those exposures, but also be able to understand how to address the secondary health outcomes that as a result of those exposures. We also see the increasing complexities of pediatric care, particularly in school settings. We know that there is increasing complexity, particularly given the increase in the number of students who are type 1 diabetics, as well as the increase in the COMAR regulations and expectations of our school nursing staff. And one other thing I want to point out that's not on the slide is we're in a political climate right now where we are having to deal with and understand how do we best deliver and utilize, how do we best deliver services from the government perspective, but then also what are the factors that influence our community's utilization patterns and trends of the services that we provide in the political climate that we see. There was a recent article, I think it was yesterday actually, in fact, Washington Post, that talked about how Children's National, one of the nation's foremost pediatric health centers, is having difficulty getting migrant children to come into their diabetes program because their fears of how to utilize those things. So we, not only us within our jurisdiction, but across the country, are grappling with that issue and trying to balance the need to deliver services within our communities, but also understanding how to best penetrate communities to be able to get those resources, recognizing the political climate within which we live. Next slide. So do want to take the opportunity to brag a little bit about the program accomplishments and our staff. As you know, any conversation that I have about public health services, I like to highlight and congratulate the team and express my pride in the services that we provide. We're not perfect. We know there are areas of improvement, and we strive to improve the services and also be innovative and modern in our approach. And there are folks in the audience. One in particular I want to highlight and introduce is Dr. James Bridgers, who is he's not really new anymore since he's been with us since April, who's our Deputy Health Officer. And we have a couple of our senior administrators, Helen Letlow in Prevention Promotion, Joan Glick in School Health Services, Karen Tompkins, who oversees our Healthy Montgomery population-based approach, Chun-Fu Liu, who is our Chief Epidemiologist. We also have a resident from Uniform Services, Dr. John Kiefer, who's here with us, and one of the highlights is we were selected by CDC this year to be a host site for a public health associate, and we were granted one of those, particularly to study HIAP, Health in All Policies approach. And Brittany Fouché is with us as well in the audience. And as you recall, our Health in All Policies approach pretty much operationalizes all of the things that you all talked about in the preceding 30 minutes, and how to integrate all of those and understand how all of those different factors influence public health outcomes. And so we did work earlier this year in convening the department heads across all the different county agencies to get folk to explain what HIAP is and to understand how health reaches into all of the different agencies. And we're looking forward to continuing that work over the course of the next 2 years with the assistance of our PHAP to do that work and come up with strategies that are comprehensive and address all of the different components to not only improve health outcomes, but also address those other concerns, whether we're talking about housing, transportation, or education. We've received significant grant support to, as we've talked about in the vaping space, to create a campaign that is youth-driven and youth-focused to prevent and curb vaping use in those populations. We've also had significant presence in national conferences and presentations. For example, Karen Tompkins and a representative from our planning department and myself presented at the annual NACCHO conference this year to talk about the platform that we have set up in our county. And we also, next week, will be attending the American Public Health Association conference, where we'll have staff members, including Dr. Liu, presenting on some of the innovative strategies that we have developed as it relates to teen pregnancy, healthy Montgomery population-based approaches, and our new approach that we're going to pilot with restaurant inspections. The last two things I want to highlight: we do have significant presence as well in national and state committees within the work from our senior leadership, including myself, and we have completed our ongoing in the accreditation process and received a conditional accreditation approval. We've got a couple things to fix, but we've got a year to do that, and it's looking promising that we will complete that process.
Dr. Gales, I just want to as a time check, because I know we're going to have questions, et cetera, because I know the presentation counted 20 slides. So if there's a way to summarize some of those very important highlights for us, because we do have the written presentation that we can also refer to.
Sure. So I'll just move really, really quickly through the last through. Here's a couple of areas of innovation. Again, we're happy to address in terms of questions. Again, using, next slide, consistent with our previous conversations, using data to address data to planning, policy, practice, prevention, and promotion. Next slide. One of the things that I wanted to highlight is we have shifted our focus from a population-based approach. The Healthy Montgomery program, historically, that focused on 6 disease categories. We have switched that and changed that and have moved to 4 priorities: access to care, equity, the utilization of and review of social determinants of health, and the use of epidemiologic and surveillance data to drive those conversations. And we're using those 4 lenses to look across all disease categories and outcomes to figure out how we can improve the work that we do. Next slide. Here's a couple of examples of the work that is secondary to that change. Next slide. And to just highlight some of the successes in the maternal and infant mortality space, we are in our 2nd year of the Babies Born Healthy grant, where we have identified high-risk zip codes within the county and are exploring best practices in that space. And here's the data to show how we're increasing outreach to high-risk population. The goal is to identify these strategies and scale them up to the rest of the county. Next slide. This represents diabetes due to the increased attention from the state as well as from a public health network. We are focusing on this area to improve outcomes, particularly looking at the emergency room utilization as a primary care source, being able to link individuals to meaningful primary care to prevent them from going to the emergency room and ultimately being admitted to the hospital and requiring subspecialty care. Next. Again, as we have had previous conversations, we are part of the President's Ending the Epidemic Plan. We're one of the 48 counties that contributes, in addition to Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, contribute 50% of new HIV cases. We have received, or in the process of receiving, funding for that initiative to set up a plan to to have 90% of individuals living with HIV knowing their status, 90% undetectable, bless you, 90% linked to care, and a 50% reduction in new cases. You can skip next slide. And the last set of slides I will summarize and then take questions is, as I talked with you about before, is we recognize that we are a fairly healthy county in terms and compared to our other jurisdictions. That has never been good enough from my perspective. I feel that we should have higher standards as opposed to comparing ourselves to state and national averages. And as a result, with the expertise of Dr. Liu, we have released a couple of weeks ago tighter standards for what we are aiming to go for in terms of a cohort of health outcomes that we've looked at from a population-based perspective historically. And not only have we released new standards with which we will hold ourselves accountable, we've also looked at, and when you can go to the end, we looked at things not just from a global perspective, but also a health equity perspective. So we looked at the raw numbers, but then we also looked at 10 years ago when we first measured these things. We looked to see if the difference from 10 years ago to today, if those disparities and differences held true. Where they held true, we looked at to see if they've improved, but then if they've worsened, have they slightly worsened or have they significantly worsened? And so the last couple of charts, which we haven't released this publicly yet, but that is forthcoming, detail for the Black community, the Latino community, Asian American community, detail the differences in those disparities and show over the last 10 years, based upon what has been done, has there been a change? And what we're interested in doing is having a deeper conversation. Is now we have the geographic data, we have the hotspots, we've got the equity data, and we can pull in the HIAP approach and social determinants of health approach to really get after and address and come up with some solutions to improve these disparities so the charts improve. So I hope that was quick enough. That's a summary of the 20 slides. Be happy to address any questions that you have.
Thank you.
Instead of Craig, I'm telling you, that was pretty impressive.
That was very impressive. So before I turn to my colleagues, I just want to start with one particular question. On slide 4, you did mention some of the increasing, well, here, the impact of trauma, violence exposure. You also spoke about the political climate and what that's doing to a lot of the healthcare service delivery. And so in terms of obviously what this means for us, being who we are, in terms of our demographics, what specifically are you doing in order to make sure that those issues of cultural competency, of, given the political climate, right, how do we ensure that people understand that they should come and receive these kinds of services, but most specifically among your staff and, in terms of staff development, or what kind of guidance are you providing in order to ensure that everybody understands cultural competency and that, folks are aware of what it is that needs to happen? So both internally, but also externally, how is that going?
Sure. Well, from an internal perspective, consistent with the whole entire Department of Health and Human Services, this is a conversation that we have been engaged in for a number of years, not just recently. And so we have talked about, so baseline customer service should happen regardless of political climate. So that's something that we continue to focus on and address. It's a part of evaluations for all of our frontline staff as well as our managers, and so it's something that we emphasize. And given the political climate, dating back to the previous director of HHS, Walia, during that time, we had lots of internal discussions in terms of even being able to provide scripts for some of our frontline staff in terms of the right questions to ask, what are inappropriate language, particularly as it relates to immigrant status. And so that is something that we have been reviewing internally and looking at and making sure that our language reflects that. We have also, for example, we have shifted in terms of how we do eligibility for some of our clinical programs. And one of the initial strategy and thought was that we would have folks come into our government centers. When we received feedback, we've had extensive work groups that have been inclusive of providers and community members, and we listened to that feedback and we created a hybrid system that would allow for folks to continue to utilize the trusted spaces that they had historical relationships with, in addition to also being able to utilize the government spaces that are available. And so that's an example of how we have worked with the community, we've engaged the community, we've heard concerns, and we've integrated that input back into the larger strategy. Because again, it's a delicate balance between, as we talked about yesterday in dental services, is innovation is important, creating systems that are efficient and easy to be used by the community is important, and making sure that it respects those concerns that individuals may have. And so it's looking at new opportunities to build on trusted spaces and relationships, to continue to move the work forward so that folks get an improvement in the services that they're getting. But it's also, as I gave with the example of Children's National, it's also being respectful of the fears that people may have in terms of coming forward to utilize those services.
I really appreciate that. I know that it's not an easy sort of space to be. And again, I want to refer back to the presentation that Chef Jose Andres made yesterday at the Universities of Shady Grove, where he described how, the way that he has put in particular systems to respond in the middle of chaos, in the middle of, emergencies, and where government, because of trying to have so many plans, fails to then really deliver. And while, you may have government trying to figure out how you, import water or whatever, he was kind of like, well, where's the water, system here? Can we kind of, repair that or get the water from the supermarkets that are already here? And so my point is that I don't want us to get to a situation where we're so focused on developing those plans and, thinking that innovation is somehow, when at the end of the day, we're failing those who most need it. And also understanding that, again, something that we might think it's really moving the needle forward, may be exacerbating particular access points. So I really appreciate the attention paid to that, because, as you know, we've all received feedback where there have been some real concerns. And that is the last thing that we want to be hearing at a time where, again, we know that both the political climate, but also public health is of such importance to us. So considering who we are, need to make sure the folks are accessing those services, because at the end of the day, it might affect the entire county. So really do appreciate you paying, close attention to that issue. Let me turn to the chair of the HHS committee, Alberto, and then we'll go down the list.
Thank you, President Navarro. You said it beautifully, and Dr. Gales, it's been a pleasure working with you over this first year. I've learned more about Medicare and Medicaid than I ever thought I would learn, and realized how complex our public health system is in the county, which you know inherently, but as we have focused on this, many issues within the HHS committee, you realize also how connected all of these challenges and opportunities are. I do want to thank you for the collaboration and your leadership on the vaping issue, which I think we are leading. My colleagues and I have obviously put forward legislation which now other jurisdictions are looking at mirroring across the country, and so we have aggressively come out with a strong stance on that. I also very much appreciate your analysis through zip codes on life expectancy, which provides a framework that I think we will be able to build off of as we dig deeper into what are the purveying issues that are causing these ridiculously large discrepancies between communities that are just a couple of miles from each other. So lots to work on there. I want to pick up on where Council President Navarro ended, which is feeling the sense of urgency because of not just the times that we live in now, but acknowledging that we need to establish best practices for sure, but I think we have to aggressively ensure, beyond just cultural competency training, which I think is important, that I know we are all striving across county government to have staff reflect the communities and the diversities that we're trying to serve, but that is particularly important in the public health space. And I think there are some opportunities for staff development within HHS and our providers, because there are folks who are hired oftentimes in entry-level positions but are exposed to this work, are bilingual, and with the proper support and accreditation can move up the ladder to positions of leadership that would benefit all of us. And so I'd love to work with you and your office and HHS in general in the development of a plan that looks at how we can take better advantage of the assets that we already have within county government, while also continuing to recruit staff that is bilingual and multicultural and multi-ethnic, so that we can better provide services to our community. And I want to underscore this important sense of collaboration. I appreciate the workshops and the work sessions that you have been working on to collaborate with a number of different providers. We have to continue that and be even more aggressive than we've been, because the ecosystem, as you know, is complex, and government alone is not going to be able to provide the level of services. But even more importantly than that, the trust factor is now more important than ever. And so the collaboration between not just our community-based organizations, but faith-based organizations as well, will be acute and necessary for us to really be able to expand our reach. And so if you could talk a little bit about what, if any, plans you have from a staff development or recommendations you can make systematically across the board to ensure that we have more staff that reflect that diversity. Would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, we are committed to, hiring individuals who, so even before talking about diversity, get it and understand, as we talked about, all of the different complexities of the variables that influence health outcomes. So regardless of what background you have, that should be an important foundation with you working within our systems, because everyone's going to interact with a lot of different folks and diverse folks. And I think some of the strategies that we have, to take a step back, and I will get to your question about hiring practices, but I think there is a larger conversation that needs to be had in terms of how we look at diversity, because there are increased opportunities for partnership and collaboration. A lot of the variables that influence one community are also the same factors that are driving health outcomes or disparities in other communities. And I think we do miss opportunities to increase collaborative efforts across communities based upon race and ethnicity and geography. And so one of the things that we are working on is trying to increase the spaces where those groups can come together and look at shared opportunities and look at where historically there has been conversations about competition for resources, but instead of enhancing that competition, saying, look, here's the shared space. The same factors that are driving diabetes rates in your community are the same factors driving them in mine. And so let's figure out how we can work together, pool our resources, become a more collaborative group in terms of reaching out for more resources to address those particular concerns. We're also looking forward to increasing, as you mentioned, partnerships with not just other governmental agencies, but faith-based communities, nonprofit communities. For example, I didn't go into detail, but diabetes is one of those spaces where we're looking at coming up with comprehensive plans, because we recognize we have limited resources. We don't have an infinite level of resources, contrary to what some believe, and we can't do all the work. But we do recognize we do have a responsibility as the county health agency to serve as a convener and be able to bring together those groups to have those conversations, because it takes a multifaceted strategy to be able to address things. You've got individual level strategies, and within that, for example, going back to diabetes, one of the things that we talk about when you go to your doctor, I hope everyone goes to their doctor and gets their annual physical, is when you're talking about weight, when you're talking about cholesterol, when you're talking about A1C levels, a lot of that falls to, well, what are you eating? Are you exercising? And so making sure that when those messages are released, they are culturally respectful of nutrition plans and diets and things like that. So when I tell you that I need you to eat less carbs and eat more A, B, and C, I can give you strategies that are relevant and germane to your cultural background, so that you understand that, and you understand based upon what your historical diet has been, here's some combinations that are respectful of that, and move forward. So those are some examples of the larger global strategies that we are implementing to change the conversation throughout the county overall. And as it relates to hiring practices, again, it's important as part of our interview panels that they are diverse. That's a requirement that we have already. and that when looking through our respective candidates, is that we are looking for folks who are respectful and respective of all of those different things. Now, one of the challenges that presents in terms of moving forward is the reality, and this is something that was talked about, and I happen to be participating in the GARE cohort with a number of other representatives from the county leadership. We were talking about the lack of diversity overall in all of our agencies and across the county in senior leadership positions. And one of the things that came up is that there simply, and this is not an excuse, there are simply not enough promotional opportunities for folks to move through management. And that is something that I think we have to look at overall in terms of, I think 40% of, and this 40, I think 40% of our senior management are over the age of 60. And so a lot of folks have been in those positions for a significant amount of time, and they've deserved those positions, but there aren't a lot of spaces to move forward. So I think there's two levels to address that question. I think one, there has to be an overall conversation about how do we, when we have jobs that come open and vacancies, look at how those positions are repurposed. Does it make sense to keep that position the same? Is it an opportunity to create new career pathways within that for promotional opportunities? So I think that's a general question that needs to be addressed overall. And then as it relates to the conversation about diversity, I think that, as you mentioned, entry-level positions are great. But when you get people in, how do you move them forward? And I think it creates opportunities, for example, when we look at our nursing roles, creating partnerships with our local academic institutions to serve as a pipeline to get people in, to get the training that they need, creating mentorship opportunities for folks to be able to get the training and understand how to move through systems. Because I'll be perfectly candid, as a person of color who's had to navigate moving through academic centers, I have most benefited from mentors who have given me that informal advice of, here's the formal stuff that you see on your tenure track, but here's the other stuff that you're not going to be told that you need to know about. And I've benefited from that type of mentorship and conversation. And so I think that is also another component that we can step up and make sure, particularly that for all staff, but certainly for staff of color, who may not benefit from those historical relationships within their families to say, here's how things are done. And quite frankly, even in the workspace, not having those natural mentorship opportunities.
Appreciate that response. The Black and Brown Summit that a number of us recently attended, I think, provided an impressive framework to explore from the educational space how we can collaborate. But you're absolutely right that there needs to be more collaboration within our entire community, and I certainly want to help with that as much as I can, and I know all of my colleagues do as well. I'll just end with this. We had discussed the notion of transportation being one of those key barrier issues to physically being able to get to appointments, physically being able to access the healthcare opportunities that are out there, and how uniquely difficult that is within a county like Montgomery County. And so that is an area I want to explore with your office further, to see how we can eliminate those barriers by creating something like a circulator bus, or other opportunities that are out there specific in the healthcare space that I think could make life a little bit easier for families. So could talk about this all day, but thank you for the presentation. Look forward to the ongoing work.
Sure. Thank you.
I think it's so appropriate that today we're having the public hearings for the racial equity and social justice legislation. And this exchange is another example of why we need legislation, because we've had this exact conversation so many times in the HHS committee, and we've all said, we need to partner with higher education institutions, and the same exact thing. And nonetheless, here we are, so, my motivation for introducing legislation is because then we just have to do it, versus let's just kind of study it and let's see where we are, kind of a thing. So it's just so, I think it's so timely. Councilmember Rice.
Thank you very much, Madam President. So I'm just going to be brief. When you started off with your flu shots, I immediately thought about our men's shelter. I know one of my staff members was just there, and we're talking about whether or not the folks at the shelter had received flu shots, and they hadn't. So especially because of the confined space that we now find them in with the temporary nature of where we are right now, It'll be imperative for us to make sure so that we're trying to reduce transmission. So whatever we can do in working with Health and Human Services to make sure that that happens, I think that should be a priority for us. Then when it comes to all of the emerging public health issues, and Dr. Gales, you've talked about this numerous times before. I know that you're in support, but it really highlights the need for us to really focus on school nurses in our schools. It really is one that highlights all of the things that are preventable, all of the things that we continue to talk about, and ensuring that their cultural competency is there, but also their ability to very early identify some of the issues that we're seeing in a lot of our children that then prevent them from being something that continues on. We focus so much on high school wellness centers when the reality is by then children have already presented, as you know, as a pediatrician, with a lot of the challenges that they've had since elementary school. And if we can start getting to them earlier and really start to change some of those habits, especially in our communities of color, it will make a tremendous difference, save us tremendous amounts of money in healthcare as a whole, all of the above. So I really appreciate you highlighting this for us and making it very simple for us to highlight and understand what the issues are and how we can best address them. I think that they're all tied directly together. As the council president was saying, they're all connected, and ones in which we just need to stop talking about it and do it. And so I know that that's where you are. When we challenged you with vaping, you came up and gave us what we need to do, and we'll need to do the same thing this year in the budget when it comes to school nurses. So thank you.
Councilmember Jawanda.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Dr. Gales, and your whole team for being here. I've seen you all at various events that were mentioned in your slides, so I know you were actually there. So thank you for all your advocacy. Very quickly, you mentioned, I can't wait to see the data behind the disparities that you released today. And in prefacing that, you said something that I think is very important for all of the work that we do in Montgomery County, that we need to have a higher standard. Oftentimes, because we are in the wealthiest state, in the wealthiest county, in the wealthiest country on the history of the world, and we have a lot of great things going on, it's easy to rest on those laurels and to say, well, we're better than X, or we're better than Y, or we're better than Z. But that's not our standard. That's not our standard in education. It's not our standard in housing. It's not our standard in health care for our residents. And as you know, embedded in our county are fierce disparities and persistent disparities. And I want to ask you briefly about one that sticks out to me that is very troubling, and I would love your advice or your thoughts on it. If you look at the Black and Latino disparities, infant mortality ranks near the highest for both groups. That's something that I know our Latino and African American health programs have been focused on. It's a priority area issue for them. I wondered if over time, what the trend lines have been on this issue, because when you talk about disparities, the ability to enter the world and be healthy is really a big start, and prenatal care is obviously on here as well. For African Americans, it's actually a worse disparity in late and no prenatal care. Could you talk about that issue and what you all are doing, and how you've worked with the health programs, and what you think we can do to close that gap even more?
Sure. Thank you for the question. It's interesting. When I thought about becoming a doctor, it was 20 years ago, my desire was to become a neonatologist because I was fascinated with the infant mortality disparity. And this is 20 years ago, where significant disparity. I think at that time, Black babies had the infant mortality rate was like 14.9, and the national average was like 5.5. And even though that number has slightly improved, I think it's 14.1 now for 100,000 live births, the disparity is still significant. In spite of the advances in medicine and technology, our ability to allow pregnancies to go longer and to take care of infants when they're born early. When we look at the data, the disparity data is couched in two ways. We have seen improvements overall in our infant mortality rate in the county. We celebrate that. But the difference in outcomes by race and ethnicity still remain in spite of those overall improvements. And that's what we want to focus on and highlight. It's not good enough just to say we've seen an overall improvement. The differences and disparities are still there. When we talk about maternal health, for example, we know that this is one of the situations where we cannot explain by poverty, lack of insurance, or access to care. Because even when you control for all of those variables, black mothers still have more adverse outcomes from a morbidity perspective, a mortality perspective. Fortunately, we don't see that same mortality perspective in comparison to other jurisdictions here, but that manifests in adverse infant outcomes when they're born. They're born early, they're born premature, and they have complications for the rest of their life. And from a maternal morbidity standpoint, black mothers are having successful deliveries, but are having unfortunate secondary complications lifelong, kidney disease, secondary to preeclampsia and hypertension and diabetes. So we know that those things happen, and part of it, the first step is presenting data to change those perceptions. So again, going back to over a year ago, we historically have not been seen as a high-risk, high-need venue because our infant mortality rate is significantly better than the state and national average. When we shared data in a different way, though, and we started looking at it from a morbidity perspective, we showed that black mothers are 60% more likely to have a severely complicated pregnancy, and Latina mothers were 46% more likely to have a severely complicated pregnancy. Releasing data such as that changes that narrative. It changes policymakers' ideas, and fortunately the state health department recognized that, and that's how we were able to secure funding for the Babies Born Healthy grant, in large part also due to perspectives of the Deputy Secretary of Health at that time, Dr. Haft. And that is where we've been able to implement that plan within those the highest risk zip codes within the county that were high risk, high need. And we have increased our outreach to those high-risk mothers. We've also helped support the minority health initiatives and programs in terms of increasing opportunities and spaces for them to have increased penetration within those zip codes in the community. Part of it is also educating providers. And so one of the conversations, the second layer of that is to work with the medical community to understand what it means to be at risk for a mother coming into the conversation. The third component of that, and then this is slightly less developed, is this notion and idea of, as I mentioned, the traditional social determinants of health in terms of poverty and insurance rates haven't influenced us. You control for that, it's still there. It's looking at the total cumulative impact of stress and epigenetics. This is the new field that looks at the cumulative stress loads of generations that cause physiologic changes to bodies to predispose individuals to having adverse outcomes. And we know that this is one area, a clear example, where you look at the allostatic load, the impact of oppression, economic stress, racism, all of those things have caused changes in bodies to predispose black mothers to having adverse pregnancies. And so this is an area that is being discussed more. And from our perspective, so we continue the Babies Born Healthy program, we continue supporting minority health initiatives, but from a research perspective, one of the things that is not included in this, which is the next level of research and data that we have already initiated, is how do we start putting together variables that are inclusive of these social constructs, that can somehow quantify the impact of racism, the impact of stress, the impact of oppression that cause adverse health outcomes. And as an example of that, and I may have mentioned this to you all before, we did a little bit of this during my time at Northwestern, where we were faced with rising HIV rates in young black and brown men in Chicago, while the rates were going down for everybody else. At the same time, the same cohort had increased STI testing, increased HIV testing, increased use of condom use. So all of the things that historically you would throw and say, well, that's why you to protect yourself. We found that wasn't what was causing it. It wasn't substance use, any of those things that you could explain away. So we looked at it from a different perspective. We created a variable called socioeconomic disconnection. And socioeconomic disconnection was defined as individuals who were not in school and were unemployed. We found that individuals who fell into that category, who met that category, had increased HIV rates. And so it changed and it introduced a new opportunity to say, as part of our prevention toolkit, yes, we will continue to talk about condom usage and testing and things like that, but we also need to look at the protective factors of educational attainment and vocational training and job opportunities within those communities, because at the same time this was happening and we're looking at it, there were a significant number of schools closed in Chicago. that were disproportionately in neighborhoods where these folks were lived. And so again, it introduced a new opportunity and construct to look at. We are looking at how we can operationalize some of those same variables to study the impact in our community, again, to demonstrate how health outcomes aren't tied to just your traditional public health things. When you're talking about job development, transport, all those other things, here are quantifiable. Here's quantifiable evidence to show how that impacts health.
You're miles ahead of where we need you to be on the racial equity and social justice legislation that we're going to pass when you're going to have these indicators. And I'm just thankful we have you here to look at that level of analysis when you can't explain away some of the traditional things we throw at these problems. So thank you. Look forward to talking much more about it, and thank you for your work.
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah, that was a really powerful observation. I think that, especially when we think about our school, our children, and as you were referring to the issue of trauma, really calls to mind the use of meditation and yoga in some school systems when they're really trying to provide those kind of tools for our young people so that they don't, so they have something that is constructive and productive to counteract all of that stress and all of those daily issues. And even as we were working on the Crown Act, and a lot of people kind of thought, well, what's the big deal? It's a huge deal, to feel that I don't have to go through this kind of checklist every single day. It's just one component of those microaggressions that just build up through your lifetime every single time you present yourself, and you have to always constantly have to analyze all of these different things. So it really, truly for me calls into, highlights this issue of, could we incorporate in our schools a lot more of those practices that also lead to figuring out how to manage stress and how to identify that as another outcome. So maybe we can work on that. Councilmember Hucker.
Thank you, Dr. Gales. Thank you, Dr. Gales. Great presentation. Sorry we're sort of rushing you through it because we started so late. Quickly on the Babies Born Healthy grant, who is the grantor?
It's the state of Maryland.
Oh, terrific. What's the likelihood that that'll be renewed?
So it's the initial grant. It's a 4-year grant. We receive guaranteed funding for 4 years. Excuse me. And we are in year 2. And one of the, and forgive me for not mentioning it earlier, and this speaks to the advocacy of our team, one of the other companion programs is home visiting. And we know that home visiting, particularly in minority communities post-delivery, have been effective in terms of ensuring positive outcomes, not only for that infant who was just born, but also in terms of birth spacing and implementing those types of practices that have been protective and help for future outcomes. Now, we've not been eligible for that, but we are working. We've had several members of our staff testify recently in Annapolis about the work that we're doing in that space, and we are hopeful that that will change.
Montgomery County wasn't eligible for the home visiting grant
due
previously?
to the state regulations and rules behind eligibility for home visiting. We are, for the Babies Born Healthy, we're in year 2 of 4. But because of the work we've been doing, and even though we as a county haven't been able to complete and build a program for home visiting, we're working on that. We have convened the home visiting programs with different agencies, and then this speaks to the community engagement with other agencies because we know it's important, and we have convened them regularly to help support them to increase access to those programs throughout the county.
What's been the engagement level of our delegation members on HGO and EHE?
They have been engaged. As I said, that was part of we had a conversation, and that was where the opportunity was born out of that. And members of our team from the Babies Born Healthy team and our Maternal and Child Health program have worked with the Collaboration Council and their group, who has spearheaded the effort to move it forward in Annapolis.
And which are the zip codes?
I can get them back to you.
The areas.
The areas, I know the biggest one is East County. 2 of the 3 are East County, and I think the 3rd is slightly back towards, but still within that northern Silver Spring area.
Great. Okay. Look forward to hearing more about it. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I'd like to turn to the Chair of the Commission on Health, Desiree de la Torre.
Good morning. Had to check my time there. Good morning. My name is Desiree De La Torre, and I am the newly appointed chair to the Commission on Health. I'm also a resident of Chevy Chase, Maryland, and an employee at Children's National Hospital focused on their community engagement and health improvement efforts. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'd love to report to you our fiscal year 2020 priorities. They will not be a surprise to you. You've heard many of them from our council today and from Dr. Gales. The Commission on Health, the purpose of it is to advise the county executive and county council on public health issues and financing. And so the COH, as we call it, is focused on 3 key public health priorities: school health, vaping and smoking, and communicable diseases. We plan to coordinate and align these efforts with our fellow boards, committees, and commissions, and have identified the same or similar priorities. We look forward to also partnering with the county council, who has pointed these out as priorities of their own, and with HHS. In addition, we plan to align our priorities with the executive's transition report. We recognize an opportunity to partner on the thriving youth and family priority that aims to get all children off to a good start in life. And so for the 3 priorities, I'll give you a background on why we chose these. And so for school health, as you know, studies have shown that poor health can put education at risk. And so kids with poor health tend to have higher absenteeism rates, lower academic concentration, and higher risk of learning disabilities. Conversely, education can create opportunities for better health. Adults with good education tend to have better jobs, access to health care, live in healthier neighborhoods, and live longer lives. And so our initial efforts will focus on the need for additional school nurses in Montgomery County Public Schools. We are significantly concerned with the current level of school health nurse staffing that would ensure a healthy and safety of our students given in our high schools and our elementary schools and middle schools. To ensure the health and safety of students given the high school health nurse student ratios are increasing, especially with increasing complexity of health conditions. And with the focus on trauma and our experiences in our community, having those school nurses is the first bridge to be able to address those health issues. So our assessment will include outreach to school administrators, parents, students, and government agencies. We will also identify the current barriers and opportunities for additional funding. Our second priority is vaping and smoking. According to Dr. Gales, there have been 15 reported cases of severe respiratory illness related to vaping in Maryland, and 3 Mcps students have been transported from school after collapsing. We look forward to analyzing the impact and engaging with the community on the current legislation that both Councilmember Alberto and Craig Rice have developed to prohibit e-cigarette and vaping manufacturers near schools. In collaboration with the Alcohol and Other Drug Abuse Advisory Council, we will identify needs and gaps and other important issues related to vaping and smoking, and where we can take a community approach to address these issues. And lastly, communicable diseases. As Dr. Gales has also reported, Montgomery County has experienced an increase in sexually transmitted diseases that mirror the state and national trends and arise both in active and latent tuberculosis cases. A closer examination of the epidemiological data shows a number of conditions with increasing trends and demonstrated disparities among race and ethnicity, age, sex, and geographic area. We plan to review this data and advise public health planning to better target these efforts and resources to meet the evolving needs of the changing population in the county. We look forward to working with the county council, government leaders, community organizations, and our community as we work to achieve health equity in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. De La Torre, for your work and your willingness to volunteer your time for this very important commission. Also thank you so much, Dr. Gales, for all the work that you are doing. And no doubt you are leading your way ahead, as Councilmember Joandos mentioned, regarding our work on equity. So there's a lot that we're going to be able to also learn from what you've done so far. Also want to thank my colleagues for an engaging discussion as well. So with that, we are adjourned until 1:30, when we will begin our public hearing on racial equity and social justice, which will then also continue this evening. Thank you.